Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Conversations with JR podcast. I am your host, JR Floyd. I hope everything is going well with you. We are still in summer. We are still in the heat, the rain, the storms, the thunderstorms, the floods. I just have to say that this has been one hell of a summer. Let me just tell you, and I know that you are out there experiencing the same thing. But regardless to all of this, I hope that everyone is enjoying their life. During this podcast, if you hear a little barking in the background, that is my sidekick Peanut, and every now and then he likes to chime in and give his, you know, agreement or disagreement on the topic that we are talking about today. That brings me to today's topic: wedding bliss or fantasy? The reality behind I do. I always like to clarify before I get into the content of each podcast that um, I just like dialogue, conversation, and narratives. The theme of Conversations with JR on YouTube is healing lives through a single conversation. I like that motto because it took me to go into therapy, which is dialoguing, conversation, and discussions, and to unwrap a lot of dark corners in my life to understand what the process of healing is. And it begins with dialogue, it begins with conversation. And that's what I like to do with my audience. I like to bring them topics and have discussions with them. I'm not an expert on these topics. I've had experiences in these topics. I'm not a psychologist or a sociologist, nor do I claim to have any solutions to any of these problems. I just like to bring the topics up, leave it out there on the table, and you take it from there. Wedding bliss. Here comes the bride. Oh, we all know that song. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride, all dressed in white. I do not own the rights to that song. And the groom is just the person who shows up along for the ride, because actually the wedding is really all about the bride, and I never understood that. Anyway, the wedding day, all the glitter and the glitz and the glamour and the money. And we have all heard of these young ladies who dream of elaborate weddings from young age, and it's often fueled by the glamorous portrayal of Hollywood and the fake lives that we see on social media. So I've been wondering about this intense focus on a single day, a perfect day, and how this can overshadow the true purpose of celebration, the celebrating of two souls coming together in holy matrimony. They have decided, both of them. I'm hoping that the groom is standing there and he just wasn't, dragged down the aisle, against his will or forced into this holy matrimony. Are they preparing for a lifetime long partnership? One wedding lasts only for a few hours, but the build up to that wedding sometimes is amazing. Building a meaningful marriage requires a commitment that extends beyond the venue, the decorations, the photos, the 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 toasts, the dances, the surprises, the things that happened and didn't happen, for a meaningful life. Now, I'm not taking away from, I have no right, and I'm not taking away from the individuals who want this type of celebration, who can afford this type of celebration to honor their entrance into holy matrimony, into happily ever after. I'm bringing this topic up is because there's a lot of chaos going on behind the scenes when it comes down to preparations for weddings and, all the smiling and the dancing the day of and a new life and, to have and to hold and to death does its part. But what happens after all of this is over with? And the couple goes away on their honeymoon and everybody goes back to their prospective lives. What happens after this blissful day and the couple is alone? What now? Are they prepared to face life without the glamour of the wedding day and all eyes on them and all the oohs and the ahs and everybody's crying and everybody is saying they make such a beautiful couple. They're going to have beautiful children, or they already have these beautiful children who are incorporated in this wedding. Is this a blended family? And are they ready for this this happy ever after as a blended family? Is this the second marriage for someone, the third marriage for someone? And I often wonder about that because sometimes women get married, first time, second time, third time, and they keep walking down the aisle with these white dresses on. That's just my thought. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Were these people only preparing for the fantasy and the bliss of the wedding day? You know, I don't want to be the one talk about divorce and separations and the struggle, because I was told my marriage was a disaster, by the way. I did not know what I was doing. I was not grounded, no foundation. I got caught up in this, you should get married. You guys have been together for such a long time, you should get married. I got caught up in the ring, getting the ring so that I can flash around the ring. If you go to my YouTube channel, Conversations with JR, I have a video in there called Let's Talk About the Ring. So I was one of those who got caught up with the ring, and I didn't have a public engagement, and that's another story in itself, all these public engagements and all this public display of the man getting down on one knee. In my opinion, and it's just JR's opinion, I think engagements and a man proposing to a woman should be something personal, and it should be something private. And I hope that man has approached the family before he has asked this young lady for her hand in marriage. So next, before a couple was ready to jump the broom, and before everything else is happening in their life, no one knows what's going to happen in a marriage. No one knows what's going to happen. But have they discussed, are they ready for the sacrifices, the compromise, the unforeseen life changes, because life can change in a moment. Are they ready for the crisis and the financial responsibility? What happens if, one person loses their job and the income all of a sudden, it's just one income, the responsibility of the house, the responsibility of the children, who's going to take care of what, who's going to be in charge of what? Is this a true partnership, or is this a traditional, well, you're my wife and this is what you're supposed to do, and you're my husband and this is what you're supposed to do? Is anybody sitting down before the blissful fantasy of this wedding day and having these conversations? Because this is something very deep to think about, to talk about. I knew none of this when I got married. I was an ignorant 24-year-old. I went down to City Hall, with my mom. And that was it. There was no reception. I wore a yellow dress. There was no reception. There was no glitz, glamour, bliss. It was just City Hall, back on a train and home. And that was it. Because no one said to me, think about this. Are you in love? What does this love mean to you? What does this man bring to you? What can this man bring to you? And I ain't talking about nobody's table, because we're not talking about what you bring into the table. But I was just so ignorant about this marriage. But I was so happy that I had this ring on my finger. I was a married woman. I was what society said I should be. I should be an honest, married woman. Well, let me tell you something. That didn't last very long, but, I digress. What happens after the marriage day? You know, women are looking at these fake relationships on social media. They're looking at all this glamour of the weddings in Hollywood, and no one is staying together. There is no longevity, not in this generation. I'm not talking about the older generation, because there are some people like LL Cool J and Denzel Washington and Samuel Jackson, just to name a few people who've been married 30 and 40 years. And then some people will say, well, why bother to get married? Oprah didn't get married. Her and Stedman is still together. Goldie Hawn didn't get married, and her man has been together over 40 years. That's a personal decision that people have to make. That's a personal decision that people make not to get married. Because in today's society now, there's so many misconceptions about marriage and why people should get married. It's a protection. Protecting who? The woman? It's a protection. A lot of these women you see in the sports world, you see it happening now in a lot of the sports world, where these women are marrying these men with these big million and billion dollar contracts, and then a year or two later they want to get divorced and they think they're going to take half of this man's money. This man was smart. He doesn't own anything. It's either in his mother's name, his father's name, or his grandmother's name, and you're not going to get anything. What is this marriage really all about? What is this marriage really all about? Is it two people really sitting down and coming together and want to honor the tradition of being man and wife, not for the sake of society, not for the sake of the family telling them that they have to get married or they should get married, not for the sake of, we should legalize this, but is it a coming together of we think we can make it together, we want to be together, I love you, you love me, we are in love with each other. We are in love with each other for these specific reasons. This is the reason why we're doing this. This is the reason why we're going to come together and make a home, make a life, want to start a family. And some of these marriages start out with blended families. Oh gosh, blended families, bringing children into the family. Did anybody really sit down and think about that and talk about that? Or the adults are just so engrossed in this marriage and needing to beat each other that they forget about the children that they're bringing from other relationships. Are you talking to the parents, the other parents that's going to be involved in this marriage? This is so many things that are going on behind the scenes, but yet everything is focused on the wedding day. But is anybody thinking about the reality behind what happens when the wedding day is over with? Has people prioritized their communication? Do they spend more time in long discussions talking about family values and morals and finances and life goals rather than seating charts? All of these things. Who's going to handle the finances? Why is the wife better at handling the finances than the man? How are we going to save money? Look at who's coming in with debt. Should we get married before this debt is paid off, or bring this debt into the marriage? Where are we going to live? Can we afford to buy that house right now, put that huge down payment on that house and take on a mortgage while we're paying for a $60,000 wedding? Is anybody talking about these things? Lifelong goals. If we don't have children, when to start having children? We should be careful. I know a couple right now, beautiful couple right now, married, had their first child. Wife wasn't working, had the first child, and loved the child. Child is almost 2 years old, but stated that they should have waited. They should have thought about it. They should have waited to be more financially stable. let the wife start working, save up some money, because having a child with one person taking care of everything, that's stressful, and that adds a strain on the marriage, daily life. Have anybody invested in expectations of daily life, and help navigate the challenges of, I have a stressful job, you have a stressful job. What do we do when we come home? We're not going to blow off steam on each other. We're going to give each other 5 seconds to talk about our stressful day and talk about our life, talk about home life, what we have to do home here. Do not let the outside world interfere in what it is that we're doing. Is the couple really ready for this? Because here's the thing: I want to go hang out with the boys. Well, how many times a week do you go hang out with the boys? You are a married man now. Not to say that married men don't hang out with the boys, but the priority should be the home, the family. She wants to go out with the girls. Most of the girls are single. She wants to go and hang out with the girls. The wife, I want to go hang out with them, and you still go, you still acting like that, and you want to go hang out with the girls. That's fine and all right, because you should have some separate time. You should have couple time, alone time, spa days, self-care days, all those type of things. But has anybody ever talked about that? Because I know right now, at the stage and age that I am in right now, after that first marriage, I've never been married. That was so many years ago. That was over 30 something years ago. I've never gotten married again. I lived with one person, and that didn't work out because, again, I didn't understand what I was doing. And one thing I don't like, I don't like asking anyone permission to go anywhere. You gotta ask your husband permission. Can you go out with the girls? You know, I was told you can't tell them, hey, babe, it's Friday night. I'm getting off work at 4. I am going to go hang out with the girls because that's going to cause friction. Did anybody think about that? Because you still want to hang out with the girls while you're married. He still wants to hang out with the boys while he's married. Anybody ever set boundaries, healthy boundaries, limitations, talked about all these things, talked about vacation. She wants to go on a girls' trip while she's married. And your husband is like, hell no. And you're angry because, wait, what you mean hell no? I'm a grown woman, but you're his wife. Same thing with a man. I want to go on a fishing trip on a long weekend with the boys. And what are you talking about? Where are you going? I'm not letting you go. Here's the words now. I'm not letting you go on no weekend fishing trip with them guys that I know. Half of them are whores and this and that. Hey, there's the argument. Here it goes. Has anybody prepared for this? All of these things that come up that we take for granted now because we are in just a relationship, fiance, whatever, boyfriend and girlfriend. And no one is thinking about deep into those things because you're always saying, oh, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then when you get there, boy, that bridge is really shaky and rocky. What about social media? What about social media? Let's think about that. I don't allow anyone. I'm not in a relationship. Haven't been in a relationship for years. But at these days and times, my social media is my brand. That's all it is. I don't want anybody on my social media that I'm dating. It's not going to happen. And don't come up to me and tell me, what are you hiding? No, I do not want to have a relationship on social media. That's it. That's a healthy boundary for me. No, I don't want to connect to your social media. I don't want to know what's on your social media. I don't want to see your social media. That's your social media. Is anybody talking about those things? Because now couples are, I see this person on your social media, I see that person, and then it starts a whole argument. Social media is killing everything and everybody. Are you celebrating the commitment and not just the party? The big wedding is just a big, giant, expensive party. Are you celebrating the commitment and not just the party? We want to make sure that the ceremony is beautiful. All the guests that come enjoy themselves. There's a reflections about the values and the promises that the couple make to one another instead of the societal pressures that people stand up there and read all these elaborate vows to one another. You know, Please don't stand up there and tell me that I'm your sun and your moon and I complete you and I'm your beginning and I'm your end, because I am not. I am sorry. I am not. Tell me the truth. Really tell me the truth. And I think that people take the marriage vows, they just hear them over and over, and they have no idea what they're entering into. And that ring that they put on their finger, that they locks the deal, seals the deal, seals this marriage contract. A wedding, the wedding day is a temporary event. It's a financial transaction. It's a social celebration. That's what that is, publicly. And there's a lot of cultural events, weddings. Do you see the meaning behind those events? They are cultural, they're meaningful. They're serious about what they're doing on their wedding day and why they are celebrating the couple. The marriage is a lifelong partnership. It is an emotional investment and a daily chance to grow together. Daily chance to grow together, to mature together. The good, bad, and the ugly. And I know that's a cliche, but that's what it is. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly times. Are you ready for that? No one could be ready for that. Are you ready to hit the hills or head for the hills when something goes wrong? What about infidelity? No one wants to be in a marriage with someone else. I don't like to use the word cheating. You're just downright broke the marriage vows. You're just disrespectful. You just dishonored your partner. You dishonored your family. You just humiliated your partner. That's what you did. And the fact that you're going to try to get away with this thing, your infidelity was not a mistake. It is not a mistake. Once you see something like that and someone, male or female, you see someone has an attraction to you, you cut that off. You cut them off. That's what you're supposed to do. You cut them off. You let them know that you are married. You have entered into this holy matrimony and you are dedicated to that person which you have entered into this contract with, and you're going to honor that, and that you're not the person. There's so much of this stuff going on. I know stuff out there happens. I'm out there in the world every day. I'm 63 years old, and let me tell you something, some of these young guys out there, but I dare not. And I'm a single woman, so I could do whatever I want to do. I ain't got no parent, no relationship, somebody acting like my parent. I don't have that. But I wouldn't just do those things. For me, a relationship, since I've learned via my mistakes, I've understand the foundation of the relationship and the emotional energy that people put in, and the financial and the mental energy that people put into a relationship if they're really serious. It's very intimate, it's very deep. And I don't think that it's something that should be taken lightly. You know, I hear some people say, oh, she's just my girlfriend. Oh, she's just my fiance. Oh, she's just my baby mama. Baby mama is disrespectful. She is the mother of your children. That's more honorable. I don't, I think if you're entering in a relationship as girlfriend and boyfriend, and it's a monogamous relationship, there still should be a certain level of respect and honor. When he puts the ring on your finger, move from girlfriend and boyfriend to fiance, I still say that there should be respect and honor. Society says you're still single with the ring on your finger until the person marry you. I don't like that. I don't like that because you put ideas in people's heads. And then you move to the next stage where you actually are standing there before God and the witnesses, and you have vowed to honor each other, love each other, respect each other, uphold each other, regardless to what come what may. Women, keep your business to yourself and stop running to your mother, your sister, your brother, your aunt, and your granny. What happens between you are supposed to stay between you. Work that out. Same thing with males. Open your mouth, speak, communicate, say what you mean, say what you need, say what you want, say what you don't like. The communication with men, they grunt. They go, oh yeah, I'll go along with that. No. Don't just show up on your wedding day and that's it because you're expected just to show up and be the dutiful groom and the dutiful husband. It goes beyond that. It's two people coming together, upholding each other. When one falls, the other one grabs you, hold you up. That's what it's about. You know, after a while, people say they fall out of love with one another. I don't understand that. But anyway, the love might not be as hot and heavy as an intense, but it's a different type of love as you go through the years. That love is supposed to deepen. The bond is supposed to deepen. Life experience is supposed to pull you together, forsaking all others. Listen, this is Conversations with JR. I am going to end that right there. I hope that this touches someone's heart. I hope that people who are out there, couples who are out there wanting to become partners, want to walk down that aisle in holy matrimony and solidify their relationship until death does its part. I hope that it works out for you. In the meantime, make sure that you're having meaningful conversations with each other. This is about you and your partner. It's not about the world. Conversations with JI. I'm on all social media platforms. Don't forget to join me on YouTube. Subscribe, share, like. Until the next time, conversations can heal people. Don't forget, change the narrative, you change your life. Thank you for listening.